Good evening, everyone. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. We have Dr. Iqbal, who's the former director at Pfizer. He has almost like 15 plus years in the area of clinical research. He's been spearheading and pioneering efforts in the pharmaceutical analytics. Today, we have his presence here, and he'll be taking us through an enriching session on AI/ML. Dr. Iqbal, welcome. My name is Siddharth. Please do leave a message on the chat in case there are questions for Dr. Iqbal. We will try to answer them in between the session through chat, or probably we can reply back a little later after the session is over.
Good evening, Dr. Iqbal. Good evening, everybody. We are very happy to have you here. Um, I'm looking forward for the enriching session too. And if there is anything, guys, please put your questions in the chat box. We will certainly try to accommodate your questions. All yours, Dr. Iqbal.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Just want to ensure you're there. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking your time up this lovely Saturday evening. I know Saturdays are generally busy, but it's also probably the apt time to try and get, the most people to spend some time to understand what's happening or what is going on in the field of AI and, ML in healthcare. Although it's something that's sort of caught up as a tagline or buzzword very recently, but for folks who've been long enough in the industry, you'll know that ML has always been a part of what you do, right? Even for people who are from tech backgrounds, actually, there was VBA coding, macros, all of these sort of stuff that was happening in Excel, even way back before ChatGPT came up, OpenAI came up and sort of blew things out of the ocean.
That is very good. Nice.
Thank you so much. So we'll go into this in a little bit detail. So just to see from where we move to where current things stand. How
You're doing very bad class, sir.
And Sujay, can you hear someone speaking as well? Is that something they're asking? I'm unable to get the question if anyone asks anything.
Yes, guys, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box.
And
We will
yeah,
go. Yes.
and we'll request you to be on mute because then, it's like we feel that somebody is actually asking a question and then it kind of just disrupts the flow. So let's have an uninterrupted session here, and then probably we can answer all the questions through chat.
Appreciate the eagerness. That's what I'll put it down to. So probably I'll get going. I'll probably ignore if I hear anything unless someone speaks out really quite out to ask something. So I say we'll probably look through for the next 45 minutes or so, and we'll have enough time for people to ask their questions. Just to show you what's happening now, what does it look like to be someone as part of, in this industry, especially in the pharma, CRO, healthcare sort of world. But with experience or with knowledge that you can add from AI, ML, and what you can contribute to this. And there's always lots of opportunities, lots of things that different people can look at, different ways to try and use machine learning technologies, artificial intelligence, etc. So it's in this sort of stream that it's always the way they say the world is your oyster because there's so much you can do. And there's only so much that has been explored. So it's always open to exploring. Very quickly about me. So I've been in this industry 15 years. I've worked at SMOs, CROs, lately in pharma, but mostly in pharma lately, my role has been to try and see what processes we have that currently we've put out, what we work on, how we can optimize it, number one, with or without AML, and second, how we can better it actually with the use of technology. And that can be any base of tech, either it's AI, it's ML. How can we move towards, efficient working and smart working, but not losing out the quality and ethos, that pharma companies generally bring. So before I probably get into an example would probably be one of the, projects that I worked on where a 6-week process with the use of AI and ML technology and scrubbing everything down, which we took about 6 to 9 months to build, in all honesty. cuts the entire process down to be done in at the most 2 days or 2 to 3 days. So it's massive reduction in time. And if you see it in conjunction with what time you can actually save on your trials and put your drug out on the market more quickly, all of this sort of brings value. So most of it is always connected to what quality does this actually add to what we do, or what process efficiency or timing efficiency does this change bring to. And if you don't have anything, then it doesn't really matter, right? You can still be doing the same old thing rather than shifting or moving towards new tech. So can you flip over to the next slide, me please? Thanks. This is probably more best suited for Dr. Karna, but I'll give a very quick overview. So the idea is to work towards having an executive, advanced diploma. This is mostly to empower folks already on the healthcare side who have the knowledge of what healthcare is, what healthcare domain is mostly, and to add, skill sets or competencies on top of it, which would be more towards, the IT tech side, to upskill and bring you in a stage where you have domain knowledge as well as IT knowledge, to apply that to the problems that, we can look into. Next one. Yeah. So very briefly, this is very standard, but just to open the conversation up, right? So what is AI and ML? So artificial intelligence is technology that's enabling computers and machines to simulate human intelligence and, solve problems, right? So it can also be copying, repeating, contributing, providing, tips. A lot of you nowadays see when you start typing something, the sentence is already completed for you, based on what they've seen you type, the trend that you've seen. So all of this contributes towards, the system's learning on a constant way, and then providing sensible outputs to you that, that can be seen as intelligence in the way of the data coming out for us. Machine learning is a bit more, I would say, hard-coded or hard-coded into the ways it's sort of part of AI. You can keep it as standalone as well, but it's the science on using data and algorithms to enable AI to imitate the way humans learn, and gradually improving its accuracy over time. So if I have to give two different examples, like, so AI would be mostly like what you're using now, chatbots, all of these sort of filling up your sentences before you go and all of that. And machine learning would be something where you come in every day, you do a repetitive task, but then now you've asked the computer to mask you, or or shadow you over a period of time, and it's learning what you do on this particular task every single day. Every single day, for example, if you're filling up a report that has the same set of criteria to be filled, the same pieces of information that you pick up and add in, over a period of time, the machine can learn the same and do that for you. And generally, you'll see if you've written a really good algorithm, you'll come back, you'll always start at somewhere around 1 sigma, right? 65% accuracy. And period of 3 to 6 months, if you put your efforts into train the model to say this was incorrect, this is right, this was incorrect, this is right, which is what you see with a lot of models. When they give you a feedback, they ask you a thumbs up or thumbs down. So that's the feedback that they take to understand if this is, right or wrong in the sense. And then you will see you will reach to a stage where, everything that is written for you is probably 95% there. You just have some minor tweaks, or, and then you're good to go. Right? So machine learning is a lot more in terms of shadowing, understanding, etc. Whereas AI, you can also be completely away from this, but work on hard coding, tech, to say this is a problem I want to solve. What do I want to build to support this? And you can also augment that with all the things that you've learned from, machine learning. Next slide. So I think I briefly touched over this a little bit in healthcare. Where is it currently being used? That doesn't mean this is where everything lies. It's always open. So when this opened up, a lot of it was never used even in documentation. For example, AI was never used to create documentation, right? I worked on a project 2 years ago where we started to use AI to actually start writing repetitive documentations. So this is where the canvas is open. You do what you want. But we are putting up some markers, so for you as an audience to get a feel of where we think these things lie. So building automated documentations, especially to agencies like say FDA, EMEA, all the regulatory bodies, TCGIs, etc. They always have fixed templates in how they want to read in their documentation or how they want to understand what's coming up. And when you have those sort of fixed boundaries, it's very easy for you to work on building, documentation bots, chat bots that can actually write up a lot of things for you, right? And then building AI doc bot that would fill up AI forms, so based on events and past reports. So this is something where the pharmacovigilance space actually is having massive scope. I was even earlier in the day speaking to someone I can't remember from which company right now, skip my head, where they're looking for someone to actually come and view all the same similar reporting, PV reporting documents that are filled on a daily basis and try to see if they can build up something which will automatically write up most of their documentation, right? And this goes by vast data as well. So they filed like say 10, 20,000 reports in the past already. So you have a lot of data already there for, to run your machine learning models. And then you can build your intelligence model on top of that as a layer to actually provide, suggestions when a similar event comes in again to pick up from that data pool and add into your, report. So that covers the 2 points that I have there. Next one. Contributions of AI and ML in healthcare as now. So assistance in diagnosis. So if a lot of places, this has now become very common, right? Some in a little bit also on the laboratory side, but most on the radiology side as well, where, you have unlimited amount of data that you can, teach bots to actually understand and assist you in your diagnosis, predict your, outcomes, personalized treatment plans. This is a place where actually ANML is adding a lot because now you can actually have your own medical history for whatever you've had, piled up and kept as say a dot bot or a chatbot file somewhere. And every time you want to receive treatment, it can be based on you as a personal human being and not in general, saying, oh, this is what you're having, this is the standard protocol. Moving from there towards actually personalizing your treatments. And some of the places where this, I know one of the diseases I actually already know someone is working on something in this is in diabetes. Because even though we've heard everybody having the, a very common question, do you have sugar, right? Everybody has sugar in their body in that sense. But to actually, because of all the various type of diabetes, the combination of complications that each of you have, somebody has neuropathy, somebody has retinopathy, and your own health and the longevity of your diabetes, you can actually work on building personalized diabetic treatments based on your entire history and path through diabetes till date, and what is the predicted sort of path the doctor is expecting you to follow. Actually, in development of new drugs and treatments, like I said, on the process, one of the clinical drug development processes that we optimize, we cut out a lot of time, helping us to actually launch our studies faster. Identifying patients at risk of readmission. This is a lot actually even already happening in hospitals where, some hospitals are giving you small apps. Some hospitals are even, I know in the US, when you have a cardiac event, they actually give you a very small patch that you wear for 15 days and constant data feed is going to, a backend center where people are monitoring what's happening. And whenever they find you're out of, the range, they will call you to see why. Or if they see, there's something really wrong, they'll ask you to move over to and go and visit your doctor as soon as you can, right? So automating administrative tasks, I said anything that is repetitive, ANML, you can very easily sort of, automate those tasks. Track outbreaks. COVID-19 has sort of been one of the major places where you've seen a lot happen and a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning used to actually track trends, where what's happening, where can we see the next sort of wave. At Pfizer, I know we did a lot of wave predictions based on the current scenario to predict where the next waves are going to be, where the next pool of patients are going to be. How can we sort of get ahead of the curve in that sense, to put our drugs out there in the market and to put our vaccination schedules according to that. Improving patient safeties, and ultimately, actually, most of this will contribute to say reducing your costs, right? So reduction in time reduces your cost. Better quality allows you for not to repeat your work again, to put the right quality out there up front. All of this ultimately in reduction of, your time and improvement of your quality on all of this will actually get you to reduce your costs of, your entire healthcare scenario. Moving over to the next one. Yeah, from healthcare to health tech, actually, that's a very nice one. So most of the R&D jobs, are stemming in the pharma companies and CROs, are coming from optimizing their processes, right? And some of them are actually even going to the length of not even looking at the current process, but saying this is where we start and this is where we end. What can we do to, put a better health tech-based process to go from A to B, right? Some of it may be modifying what they have because it's very good, but some of it may be just ripping it apart, right? Putting everything down and going from scratch. Okay. What's the demand actually currently of AI and ML? So I think most of you that are on this call will already know, not only healthcare industry, but the demand for AI and ML is actually massive right now across industries, across the scale, across everywhere. Right? But particularly in healthcare, the AI in the healthcare industry was valued at about 16 billion, 16 and a half sort of billion roughly in 2022. And is expected to, grow at a compound rate of 40%, right? So it's not growing at a linear pace. That's why we call it compound growth. It's going to be growing at a massive rate. By 2029, it's like you can see 173, but most likely by 2030, it'll probably reach around the 220 to 30 billion dollar mark as an industry on its own. Machine learning has massive uses in process optimization, automation, like I've said. And then the market size of the healthcare analytics actually is estimated, at 46.5 billion, and expected to grow to 130 by 2029. And, that's also growing by about 23% per year. That's significant growth that we are already actually seeing, especially only in the healthcare industry and the way the healthcare folks are taking up people, with knowledge for AI, ML, and analytics. So in short nutshells, what is the power that AI and ML can bring to healthcare, right? Transforming healthcare with groundbreaking applications. So you'll see a lot has changed just in the way things work, from even very old school to you go to your lab, you get your reports hard-bounded, 3 days down the line, to now before you are back home, you see your reports already coming in. Same with, your radiology tests, all of these tests that are now working at such, speeds by all the applications that we're building, right? So it's mostly the power is, you can innovate, you can disrupt what's currently happening, change the way you do it, or you can completely transform what you want to do in terms of processes. So that's why it's like, transforming healthcare is sort of the power you can get with it, in a sense. From, its uses can go from, diagnosis, treatments, drug discoveries, personalized medications, so there's lots of areas in the entire pharma sort of belt, including consumers who actually are taking your medicines, where, your AI and ML applications can be put. And it's a field that's rapidly growing, and has immense potential, even from what I've seen for the last just 2-3 years. When I went into Pfizer 3.5 years ago to start working on some of these, to now, the industry has probably had already a generational change in the way things are. Who should enroll actually to this course? I think so. I actually I believe in number 3 mostly. So anyone who's interested, has a bit of nuance of what happens in healthcare or tech, vice versa, can actually enroll to this course to get a bit of both, right? I come from a completely what we call domain or business background. My complete business domain expertise is pharma, but I spent a lot of time in the last 5, 6, 7 years working completely only with guys who are IT, right? And that's where it's sort of having 2 groups of people working together. Me coming from pharma background and then sitting with someone from tech and working with them to build something, right? It has its own advantages. It has its own challenges, especially for someone who's hardcore pharma and doesn't understand tech, to sit and work with those guys, to understand what they are asking you when they put something, to understand their language in terms of IT stuff. And it's vice versa. For someone who's hardcoder, I work with someone who's a data engineer who'd been working for, Amazon and Myntra and all of these, who was doing, their similarities modules where, you go and search for something and then it'll show you 10 other similar things, for example, right? To speak to someone who's completely as tech as that, to build something for pharma is a challenge, right? So that's where I've been working part and part in that sense. And most of my knowledge is built over the period of working with these guys. But the industry is moving towards, I was having this discussion with Dr. Karuna when I met her, is moving towards having one amalgamated individual. Someone who has tech background, but has the bandwidth to understand how pharma works, how healthcare works, and is willing to put his time there and can then move and come and work in that sense. Or the vice versa, someone who's actually having science background completely, tech, is a healthcare, is a doctor, professional, nurse, or allied health professionals like we are, clinical research guys, all of these who are coming in, who are willing to put their time and effort to actually learn basic AI/ML softwares and AI/ML coding and all of that, right? So the idea is to put this amalgamation. And for a lot of jobs that I see out there personally, even certain jobs that Pfizer has been putting out there and a lot of the pharma industry has been putting out there, has always been ideally to find someone who knows both, right? And this is where the industry is sort of evolving towards. And that's where a lot of value I see this course adding to people coming from different domains, but coming to become a bit more rounded in the sense of understanding the healthcare domain as well as having your expertise, to do tech. Okay, so what this course will do is give you a deep dive into, AI&ML in healthcare. So it's a comprehensive understanding of what will happen, what are the applications, in medical diagnosis, personalized treatments, drug discoveries, all the entire. So the drug discovery itself is a process of 15 years. There's so much in the entire bandwidth of drug discovery that, is touched, untouched, that you can work on. So part of this is to actually deep dive into, some of these to see how we can bring value using it. I also look at what are the ethical considerations in AI healthcare settings, using AI&ML. Program structure. So the way this program is designed is to put your best foot forward in the ways to set you up for success, right? So that's the ultimate goal, to sort of put the entire program out there. So it's a strong foundation to add you in your healthcare fundamentals, understanding various healthcare, sort of domains and all of that. Some of you may come from healthcare backgrounds, so understand it quite well as well already. But to add in value, to get you strong foundations in your healthcare. Hands-on learning, through practical exercises and projects, working on probably real-world data, sort of building your own projects, and then industry exposure, right? So not only means that there's loads of people in the industry at the moment who are experts in doing ML, and have a vast amount of knowledge, wealth already in this stream and have been doing wonders already. So also getting industry exposure, so guest lectures and case studies that you can work on that's coming through the industry. So sort of the broad outline of how the curriculum is looking like. So we've split it out into certain modules, and then your final sort of dissertation or projects that you will probably be working on. So one is getting back to your fundamentals of healthcare analytics data, right? And then it's going into module 2, which will be a statistical analysis, business insights. Actually, business insights and analytics in itself is another sort of core domain that is moving out. Can we go back actually? So business insights and analytics is actually moving out in itself into a different sort of vertical in a lot of companies. I think recently I saw BMS is building out a complete entire vertical where they want to do complete business insights and analytics as a complete separate wing. We need to go back to the slide we were on. So that's more one more behind this. Yeah, thank you. And then third is more sort of true AI/ML, where you're building predictive models, you're building machine learning models, large language models, maybe even some natural language processing models, etc., that you'll work on building, predictive modeling and machine learning models. And then fourth is about visualization and emergence. And so as much as you can churn out data, But if your data on a visual scale cannot tell a story of what you do, it's no value to whatever amount of analysis that you're actually running. So I'm someone who's very strong towards storytelling, and actually your data bringing value in terms of a story, right? It's not only, oh, I analyze this data, this is the result, but what's the story that your data tells, and what's the trends that you can capture from that, right? And then the final project about applying healthcare techniques to real world data sets, presentation of your projects, and then discussions on future directions. Now we can go next. Some bridge modules, I think, that will actually help you. So we've also listed out what we think can assist you in terms of additional modules from where we already have. So it's digital health, wearable devices, processing those machine learning bases for real world, and then deep learning in digital health and imaging and vision. Right? So deep learning, actually, especially in imaging and visionaries, is something that's at the moment quite hot out there, right? Especially for, if you understand hospitals and the way the number of patients are coming in and going into imaging, and for you to have that time out to get your results, which is where you can build deep learning modules to understand, what the disease should look like, what are you trying to find out, what can you search for, and then giving you sort of predictive results of what the machine learning model can actually look at in terms of imaging is something that is getting quite interesting, and that field is actually advancing quite well at the moment. Next one. Foundations. So this would be quantitative methods in statistics. What are the applications? Communication and leadership. How sort of you're working based on what the trends are, or who you'll work with. What's the sort of group sets that you're going to work with. The leaders that will be part of what application you can work on. Mostly base level stuff is what we put here, and then ethical considerations for what we are doing, the data that we're churning and using, especially in analytics. Next one. Apologies for the image. I know it's discussing saying we need to probably get up a better image. Or maybe this is something we can share once you guys get into, say, what are the domains you can look at and what are the roles that you can see. But mostly it would be entry level roles, which are like data analysis, junior data analysis, senior analysis, or analyst, coupled with side roles, which are like data science, senior data scientists, etc. And then they would gravitate towards you being team lead, and leading a group of, teams to actually do your work, culminating up to actually chief data officer. A lot of people now even have a chief data science officer and a chief analytics officer split out to actually look at domains in two different ways. The culmination of your growth is actually the growth in AI&ML has been very quick, has also been to reach to levels of C-suite. So a lot of people at the up end actually hold C-suite level positions and designations, reporting directly to CEOs, and bringing in a lot of their expertise in data and analytics. And next one, I think, is a trend of how long do we think we take to go there. AI and ML compared to your other sort of roles is a trend that's a little bit more quick on the growing side. So if you can see, we have a journey of 0 to 15, 16 years towards where you can actually move right up there. So I was someone who's actually doing something sort of ahead of data analytics in a sense, if you say. And I actually have done, if you see my experience of actual analytics and AI&ML healthcare working exclusively on this would somewhere be around 5 years, right? But I come from the pharma industry, bring advantage of tech, understanding and knowledge of tech, so you can see the growth actually is completely, this graph is based on you, right? It's not based on, the company is not based on what's happening out there, but it's based on what you bring as value, what you've learned, what you bring as a value will show where you head and how quickly you head in that direction. Next one. Quick overview. What sort of job roles and responsibilities that you can see here? healthcare researchers, clinical researchers, medical imaging specialists. This is on one side. And similarly, ML related jobs, although folks want to build both, but sometimes some companies are even having it so delineated that, you're having different folks who build your AI and different folks who build your ML. And it's also analyst job roles, right? So data analytics, healthcare data analyst, public data analyst, and business analyst who are actually following the business trends. There's also business trends and intelligence, like I said, on the commercial side. It's just building a lot of analytics to how the marketing side of things are working as well. Next one. General skills, that are going to go across various roles is your understanding of the domain and terminologies, right? If you don't understand the domain, it's going to be a bit of struggle. This is where you need to spend your time to understand what is what in the domain and put your, apply yourself to it. And communication and presentations, especially data analytics and all of these, it's a lot about what your slide reads out as well. It's a lot about what data you put out there, and what can you actually put out there as a person and communicate with them, right? And if you've sent something out that people understand quite well, and it's legible, readable to a lot larger audience out there, even though it's very techy, but it's very dumbed down at an understandable level. It's something that's very much needed actually in this industry. Ability to work independently and as a part of a team. My current job role was actually both. I've listed as an individual contributor. I hold a director role, but then I have various teams that I work with depending on the project. So I've each project, I have my own project team, right? So at any given day, I may not speak to anyone, just sit and be churning out ideas. Or at another given day, I may probably be meeting in excess of 50 to 60 people on various projects across various different groups, right? So this sort of domain requires you to have a bit of both. Especially my downtimes are the ones that I like when I'm not speaking to people. That's when I'm spending my time learning what's happening in the industry, what's the trends, are we ahead, behind of the game as a company, am I ahead, behind of the game as an individual, and what's the next sort of thing that I can look at or tap that I think we can work towards, enhancing. So that's where I like a lot of my sort of time that I'm not spending on any of my meetings or teams is actually where a lot of the ideas generate from. Data privacy and security awareness, and then continuously learning and adapting, right? Because this is a field for what I knew when I came in. So like I said, it's already gone a generation change in the last 3-4 years. The next 2-3 years is also probably going to be about another generational shift in the way all of this is going to work in the pharma industry. And then probably it's going to be a bit more on the streamlined towards stagnation. It's something that's really up on the rise. So you really need to stay abreast with what's happening, how the field is evolving, to not be left out or left behind. Next one. Just an idea of where things are, market representation of what we think is out there at the moment, right? Most of the entry level fresher role is where you see that salaries are still pretty decent from what we would join in as a fresher in the healthcare side, So it's as an analyst, a researcher or ML, it's somewhere around 4 to 5 is what you would make. A little bit more experience, mid-level experience. You can even be going up to 8 or 10 lakhs per annum based on the skill set that you bring. And the higher you go, it's there's no boundaries to what you would be earning as a senior level, experience position that you come from. Next one. Can we go to next? How to become a professional. So this is where I think CliniLaunch comes in, where we're looking at building expertise, building your technical skills, mainly programming, data science, machine learning, statistics, even cloud computing. And then in immersing yourself in healthcare, to become domain savvy, understanding how AI work in the healthcare field. Hone your soft skills, and then it's up to you. Choose your path, which way you want to go, and then take action. With a formal education course that is coming up, that we are putting up out there, to actually build your your tech skills and your domain expertise, so that you can be that one molded individual that folks are looking out for. I think so. This is more. I'll probably open it up to Sujoy, Dr. Karna. I think take this over. So the process that we're doing is to put out a course out there, which is 480 plus hours of program, that will help you achieve your base goals on these roles that we put out there, and how we think you can go in there. So to hone your skills, over a period of this program, and help you to get out there into these job roles, as stated with the healthcare analytics professionals. I see Shweta there. I'm sure she will answer a lot of questions on my behalf.
Hi, Dr. Iqbal. Good evening, Shweta this side.
That's it
For
in terms of the
such
slide
an
deck.
enterprising session.
When you embark a journey with CliniLaunch, it's not just the training that you get. And see, first of all, we would like to call it upskilling. That the objective is that you upskill yourself, not just on technical grounds. It is also on an upliftment of your personality. Okay, so an overall upliftment, not just on your technical skills as well as on your personality skills. And more importantly, how do we make you ready for jobs? So the objective at CliniLaunch is very, very clear, that how do we bridge the gap between industry and academia. All right, now once you have, or once you associated with CliniLaunch, I would just like to take you through the journey at CliniLaunch. Could you just move on to the next slide, please? So each of our learners that associate with CliniLaunch, okay, right from enrollment, we have a orientation session through which we guide each of our students through our own learning management portal, where all sessions are conducted via live classes. You will also have access to recordings. You will be able to take different assessments for all the courses that are available at CliniLaunch. Not just the technical modules, all our programs are designed in such a way that technical and non-technical go hand in hand, because all of you aspire to enter into the corporate and start your careers, or change your careers from one field to the other. Corporate etiquette is also something that is really important. So while your technical modules are being conducted through the learning management portal, we would also have non-stop corporate etiquette sessions, so that you're well versed with not just what is happening in the industry, but how do you interact, how do you behave when it comes to the corporate world. Okay, along with that, we have various checkpoints during your journey to ensure that you are learning the right way and in the right direction. Okay, that's the whole idea. Now, in terms of apart from the AI and ML diploma courses that are on offer, we also offer courses. Could you just move on to the next slide, please? So we also have courses in the domain of clinical SaaS, clinical research, medical coding, medical scribe, bioinformatics, and of course AI and ML in healthcare, for which Dr. Iqbal took a very, very nice session. So these are the different courses that are on offer by CliniLaunch. Okay, now when we talk about different opportunities that you might be able to avail as part of as part of our placement journey, I think Shweta, if you're there, if you could just have a brief on the different opportunities that are available for people in the healthcare domain. That will really help.
Hi, all. Good evening. When it comes to career prospects and opportunities at CliniLaunch for all the offered programs, we are very well equipped and connected within the industry. And when it comes to job opportunities, let it be corporate engagement activities, CliniLaunch as an institution has earned its name and in the industry, and wherein companies are very happy to pick students from us on a regular basis. So when it comes to opportunities, we have an ample quantity, if I may say, and we are equipped and in a position to cater to students from all walks. Let it be a topper to somebody who is brand new to skill learning and needs a lot of upskilling, training, coaching, guidance to all. So, so sorry. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Available.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, at CliniLaunch, when it comes to the placements part, we are very active. We do a lot of guest series, which are positioned and are deliberately designed to offer students a good networking opportunities, wherein we have had speakers from the top healthcare companies in India and overseas. We have had participants from the CXO and CEO level in the, again, healthcare and pharmaceutical domain. And every month, as part of our placement engagement activity, we do career fairs. And so far, we have done 11 plus career fairs, wherein more than 70 odd companies have participated, and students have been, offer letters have been rolled out to these in different domains, let it be clinical research or the allied fields, then your analytics field, and your SAS and other programs that are being offered at CliniLaunch. So can I have slide, please? So these are the few that have participated with us in the past. These are just a few to name, but then we have the likes of IQVIA, Fortria, PPD, Worldwide Clinicals, then HCL, your Accentures. So these are few of the companies that I can name on top of my head, which are regular recruiters for CliniLaunch. And the list goes on and on. We are very well connected in the industry when it comes to supporting career objectives of our students. So when the slide, it shows the stats for last year. Last year, 2023-24, we have rolled out more than 9,000 odd job openings, all relevant job openings from the field of clinical research and allied fields, and all the other alternate programs that we offer, with almost 300 companies participating for our recruitment processes, and 2,500 plus enrollments, and over 80% students got placed. And that's the stat from last year. If I can keep you updated, from this year Jan till date, we have already floated around 5,000 odd opportunities with more than I think 150 odd companies, all relevant and genuine openings that companies that the companies have shown interest in hiring from CliniLaunch. Can I have the next slide, please? So these are the snapshots of few of the students that have been placed recently. Next, please. So, I mean, I'm sure most of you are coming from the healthcare domain, and these are the target industries we connect with to help our students uh, realize their career dreams. CROC, SMOs, hospital, government agencies, pharmaceutical companies, and IT industries would be the target sectors wherein our students get placed. These are the certifications that the students would be getting post completion of the program. And if I'm not mistaken, this is for the PG program, the certification. And also, since CliniLaunch is the only institution in the country that is under NSTC, a member of NSTC. So, hence, our students can get an add on skill certification by participating in a small assessment test that is conducted by NSTC. And all the students who are who have registered with us, I mean, the process would be shared with them as to how they can get the skill certification. And also ICH and GCP certification is also awarded to the students who enroll for programs with us.
Yeah.
Few of the
There's this one doubt that students have put in the chat box on the opportunities specific to AI and ML. So if you could just throw some light there, that will really help.
Sure. Since AI/ML is one of the upcoming industry, so the job opportunities are in huge demand. And if I can shed some light, I can share few job roles for which the companies have been hiring from starting, I think, Jan onwards. I mean, I see a trend wherein these job roles have been in a lot of demand, like into your diagnostic imaging. If you say you can, the career opportunities in diagnostic imaging can be data scientists, AI engineers, healthcare analysts, then clinical information, then your data scientists, and the major companies who recently got funding in these domains were, if I would recollect correctly, is Cure AI and Nirmay. Nirmay is into it's a device making company which predominantly focuses on detection of breast cancer. So these companies specialize in diagnostic imaging, and the roles and responsibilities are very enterprising, and the career prospects and progressions are very good, provided you have the formal training in the said domain. Then predictive analytics is one area wherein Tricog and Tuple companies come into picture, wherein the opportunities that you can expect are of data scientists, AI engineers, again, healthcare analysts, and there would be drug discovery companies, then clinical decision support, healthcare operations company. Then there are a lot of telemedicine and remote monitoring companies like NetMeds, again, then Credible Healthcare and all. Wherein again, the job roles would be repetitive, but the core might change, like diagnostic imaging, your predictive analyst, drug discovery, and all. So, in totality, the prospect of career prospects within this sector is very good, provided you give a good tenure in the company wherever you are getting placed or working, because tenure is something that would play a major role when it comes to your job hunting part. And for a fresher, in the domain of data science and analytics, the compensations predominantly start from, we had earlier shown you the slides, the entry level roles for in data science, AI/ML in healthcare would be the roles would be of data analyst, and the typical experience that is asked by the clients would be around 0 to 2 years, and the education qualification that is required would be of bachelor's in data science, statistics, computer science. And once you get this PG program certification, or awarded this program, then in India, the your career as a data analyst would begin with a compensation of 3 lakhs, and it can go as max as to 6 lakhs, depending on which company and which geographical location you are currently residing in. Because as per the labor law, the compensation structures fairly differs from state to state, non-metro and metro cities. And if I say speak about the entry level jobs in AIML in overseas global market, the compensations generally start from $55,000 per year, and it can go as max to $70,000 per year. So again, the career progression is very good, provided you are giving a good tenure in whichever company you are working at or get placed. So the roles and responsibilities, again, like Dr. Iqbal rightly said earlier, would start from you being a data analyst, then junior data scientist, senior data scientist, then AI/ML team lead, head of data analytics, and then chief data officer, for which the compensations can be as much as high as 50 lakhs uh, per year, depending on your experience. It would be somewhere, I think, 15 plus year of experience in the said domain, and you can expect a compensation of 50 lakhs plus in India. And if you talk about overseas market, it would be starting from 2.5 lakh dollars to 3 lakh dollars per year. So yes, again, it's all about how you are planning your career, what is the career trajectory, what are the initiatives you have taken to learn, and in order to progress and get into, from a data analyst to a chief data officer, the journey is going to be remarkably enterprising and learning. So there is no overnight success over here. Uh, it is going to be a lot of perseverance and hard work of 10, 15 years plus, and then is when you'll be reaping the rewards of these programs. Rishikesh sir, all yours.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am. So see, first of all, uh, while we are, again, yeah, I think there are one more question that is coming in. Just a second. What are the opportunities in hospitals? Okay. So I think again, see, because a lot of data, from what I've heard, Shweta, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, especially when it comes to hospitals, machine learning and AI, rather AI is actually being used to have some sort of predictive analysis on outgoing patients, especially suppose there are patients who have undergone a certain surgery. After how many, say, X number of months, what is the kind of medication that they would need? How can we call back these patients again, so that there is a from a line of business of hospitals, how can we sort of keep track and keep the patients, outgoing patients, engaged? So that is where a lot of predictive analytics or analysis is being used in hospitals, as far as I know. Secondly, even for medicines or medication that goes to patients, so based on the kind of demand that is coming in the market, so for example, there is a super specialty hospital which deals with, say, cancer patients or oncology for that matter. What is the kind of medicines that would be required in, say, a 6 months duration or a 12 months duration? How can we know about that today, so that we can have better uh, demand planning or better supply chain planning? So that is where these tools, whether it is AI, whether it is machine learning, whether can be used. Okay, yeah. So
Rishikesh sir, very
yes, yes,
interesting
yes.
question from a prospect, a participant, I think Abhishek. Hi, Abhishek. Good evening. You have asked a very nice question. I did a counseling for a student a few weeks back who came from the same background, BDS. She was an MDS uh, surgeon, a graduate dental surgeon. Yeah, the roadmap, for a BDS graduate in AI/ML is fantastic. I mean, I can go on and on, but then you should, if you Google it, you'll actually uh, come to see the kind of prospect a BDS graduate has. Because, I mean, since you come from the fraternity, you understand medicine and you understand anatomy. I mean, a BDS graduate or an MDS can actually work in tandem with the people who are into the technical part of it and help them program those algorithms to suit and get the best outcomes. Like, for example, Invisaligners. I mean, these things are very much in trend these days. But then the from right from the designing part to the inception, a lot of work goes in, and a person from the dentistry background coupled with the technical knowledge of AI/ML can play a very important role in amalgamating both aspects of the studies, the technical and the techno part of it, wherein you can sit and get the algorithms designed for various devices and all. For BDS graduates, the prospects in device manufacturing companies who are into AI/ML is very good. Sir, all yours.
Yeah. So like ma'am told you, right? So for BDS, so in fact, even predictive analysis or artificial intelligence for that matter, is now being used in doing predictive analytics in dentistry as well. So like I said, for hospitals where an outgoing patient is there, so predictive analytics is being used to invite, or after certain period of time, how can we bring back the patient, right? So there is someone like, you've heard of this company called Tutsi, right, who are into dentures and teeth alignment, right? So they have also started to use AI to predict the behavior of patient, and how can sort of we or they generate business content, or a on a continuous basis, to keep those patients engaged for a longer point, longer period of time. All right, I hope we were able to sort of give you some idea.
And to get into the further details of it, I'm sure the team has already shared a link wherein you can fill all your details, and the counseling team can get back to you with all the relevant details in depth. And
In medical coding, pharmacy, and programming. So see, yeah, programming would be a very major aspect here. You would need to learn programming language for sure. The idea here is, how can you combine or take the best of both the worlds, right? So how can you utilize technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and use it in healthcare, and making healthcare more efficient. Okay, I think Dr. Gayatri has a question whether the course is online or offline. Yes, it's an online course. All right, wherein you will have exposure to different programming languages. You have Python, you have R programming language, right? Wherein these languages would actually help you to understand or do different kinds of modelings. Okay, any which ways, we have I think Wilson had pasted a small brochure. I don't want to get into the details of each and every module that is available. We will anyways have individual calls aligned with everyone to sort of help you out with each of the modules that are there, and how we can help you get an information on all those modules, right? So duration typically would be somewhere between an 8 to 10 months. All right, just to give you a fair idea, or sort of. And during the course, we will have practice or access to live projects, wherein you can actually do different modeling on different programs. That will really help you practice. What else? Yeah, I'm just reading through a couple of random questions that are in front of me. Okay, what are the opportunities for SaaS programmer? So yeah, so we'll anyways get have an individual call with Mohammed Minhaj, all right, to help you on SaaS. See, typically, just to divert from the topic a little, so you would need to have a global SaaS certificate from from SaaS. at least a basic level global SaaS certificate, so that you can start your journey as a SaaS programmer. Okay, but before you can get into giving the examination as a global SaaS programmer, you would need to learn something about clinical data management, a little bit about clinical research, and also have hands-on experience on the SaaS programming language, specifically SAS 9.4. Okay. And I think I just saw 2 3 questions on whether an internship is there. So yes, we have opportunities for internships as well when it comes to AI/ML. All right. So I hope I was able to answer your question, Minhaj. Right. To just give you a brief idea. In Arpit, on bioinformatics, yeah. So bioinformatics again becomes a very sort of a uh, different career path altogether than AI/ML. So bioinformatics, just to give you some insight, it is typically before a drug is discovered, and how can we, use different sort of synthesize different programming languages to sort of help in better efficiencies, or getting or having more cost effective drug discoveries, right? So if you talk about bioinformatics, again, yes, the programming languages that are typically used are Python, R, and all that. But apart from that, when you want to have some approach on bioinformatics, you would also need to learn about genomics, functional genomics, proteomics, all these things, because you will be then there's something called as docking, which you will need to learn, apart from learning different simulation models, and learning a little bit about R programming language as well as Python. Okay, but yeah, so when it comes to bioinformatics, AI/ML, nowadays, what we are clearly seeing is R programming as well as Python is coming up as a sort of a must-have requirement, and that's why even in our bioinformatics program we do have a module exclusively for R and Python. Okay, Perl is also something that you'll learn when you go in for bioinformatics.
Sir, can I add in?
Yes, please.
Arpit, bioinformatics, just like AI/ML, I mean, it is one of the most sought out and asked for job role in the market as of now. And the good part is that, I mean, there is a lack of talent, which the reason why the companies have not been able to hire. So I think from September onwards, you would actually end up seeing a lot of opportunities in the domain of bioinformatics, because this is one job role wherein the industry is actually facing the shortage of trained and well equipped or skilled employees to hire in their companies. Last week itself, we one of the VPs from Amgen USA, she participated in a guest series with us. I mean, if you can go to our website, you can certainly catch hold of the entire session, and you can see it's from her own words. I mean, she mentioned that bioinformatics is one of the most upcoming job roles wherein there is a serious lack of talent. So a person who is doing some sort of upskilling in the bioinformatics or AI/ML program domain, sorry, would actually end up having a lot of scope and career prospects in future with top-notch companies. And for bioinformatics, generally the compensations are on a higher end. It totally depends on which company. Either there are high chances of you getting employed on a contractual basis in governmental bodies as well as private companies, and the compensation structures are pretty good. So thank you so much all for joining in.